Good day everyone, I am Arnel Florentino from Criminology 24. Today, I will tell you about the methods of identification in forensic anthropology, serology, odontology, DNA fingerprinting, portrait parley, and anthropometry. First, the forensic anthropology. Anthropology is the study of various aspects of human within past and present societies. The study of anthropology is often divided into four separate subfields, including social cultural anthropology, linguistic anthropology, biological anthropology, and archaeology. Social anthropology and cultural anthropology study the norms and values of societies. Cultural anthropology deals primarily with all aspects of cultural vibration in the present past, including social, political, economic, and ideological phases of human culture. Through a variety of theoretical approaches and research methods, anthropologists today study the culture of people in any parts of the world, including those of industrial and post-industrial societies. Linguistic anthropology studies how language affects social life. Linguistic anthropologists study the many ways people communicate across the globe. They are interested in how language is linked to how we see the world and how we relate to each other. This can mean looking at how language works in all its different forms and how it's changed over time. It also means looking at what we believe about language and communication and how we use language in our lives. Anthropology studies the biological development of humans. Biological or physical anthropology looks at Homo sapiens as a genus and species, tracing their biological origins, evolutionary development, and genetic diversity. Biological anthropologists study the biocultural prehistory of Homo to understand human nature and ultimately the evolution of the brain and nervous system itself. Archaeology, which study past human culture through investigation of physical evidence, is thought of as a branch of anthropology in the United States, while in Europe is viewed as a discipline in its own right or grouped under other related discipline as a history. The science of archaeology is a multidisciplinary approach to the study of human behavior as evidenced by cultural lineage. And now, let's talk about the second topic, the forensic serology. Forensic serology. What is forensic serology? Forensic serology is the detection, identification, classification, and study of various bodily fluids such as blood, semen, saliva, urine, breast milk, vomit, fecal matter, and perspiration, and their relationship to a crime scene. The body fluids. There are a number of body fluids that can be used to gain information in crime scene investigation. Some examples of bile: vomit, diarrhea, cerebrospinal fluid, vitreous, humor, urine, saliva, sweat, tears, synovial fluid, vaginal fluid, and semen. The secretors. An individual who secretes his or her blood types antigens in body fluids, semen, saliva, is called a secretor. Approximately 80% of individuals are secretors, meaning their blood type can be determined from their body fluids. Gumagaling na ang gila. The saliva. Saliva may be recovered from many places, such as stamp, food, and bite marks. Some sample may reveal blood type, secretors, and possibly enough DNA for profiling. And lastly, we have the composition of blood, a complex mixture of cell, enzymes, proteins, and organic substance. It mainly consists of erythrocytes, red blood cells or RBC, leukocyte, white blood cell or WBC, platelets, clotting factors, and plasma, the liquid parts. The next is the third topic, the forensic odontology. What is forensic odontology? Forensic odontology is the application of dental knowledge to those criminal and civil law that are enforced by police agencies in a criminal justice system. Forensic dentists are involved in assisting investigative agencies to identify recovered human remains, in addition to the identification of whole or fragmented bodies. Forensic dentists may also be asked to assist in determining age, race, occupation, previous dental history, and social status of an identified human being. Forensic dentists are responsible for six main areas of practice. First, identification of found of human remains. Second, identification in mass fatalities. Third, assessment of bite marks injuries. Fourth, assessment of case of abuse such as children, spousal, or elder abuse. 5. Civil cases involving malpractice. And lastly, age estimation.
And now, our fourth topic is DNA fingerprinting.
What is DNA fingerprinting? DNA fingerprinting is a way to identify a certain individual rather than simply by identifying a species or particular trait. A technique used by scientists to distinguish between individuals of the same species using only sample of their DNA. Who invented it? The process of DNA fingerprinting was invented by Alex Jeffrey in 1985. We have biological sample used for DNA fingerprinting. 1. Blood. 2. Hair. 3. Saliva. 4. Semen. 5. Body tissue cell. And DNA sample have been obtained from vaginal cell transfer to the outside of a condom during sexual intercourse. Step to DNA fingerprinting. There are 8 steps for DNA fingerprinting. Step 1. Isolation of DNA. DNA must be recovered from cell or tissue. Only a small amount of blood, hair, or skin is needed to isolate DNA. Step 2. Digestion of DNA by restriction. The DNA is cut into fragments using restriction enzymes. In restriction, enzymes cut DNA at a specific base sequence. Step 3. Electrophoretic separation of different fragments. Fragments are separated on the basis of size using a process called gel electrophoresis. DNA fragments are injected into while an electric current is applied along the gel. Step 4. Transfer DNA on nylon nitrocellulose membrane. The DNA fragments are transferred to a nylon sheet by placing the sheet on the gel and soaking them overnight by the process southern blood. Step 5. Probing probe labeling. Adding radioactive or colored probes to the nylon sheet which is complementary to target sequences. Each probe only stick to one or two specific places on the sheet. Anthropometry refers to the measurement of the human individual. An early tool of physical anthropology, it has been used for identification, for the purposes of understanding human physical vibration in polyanthropology in various attempt to correlate physical with racial and physiological traits. Alphonse Bertillon was a Parisian policeman. He wanted to improve description of suspected criminals and hope a good identification system would quickly identify repeat offenders. He believed that people who were reliable to reoffend could be identified through physical characteristics, and that people with certain characteristics were more likely to be a criminal. The fifth topic is portrait parley. Portrait parley. Portrait parley can be defined as a rigorous system for verbal description of physical characteristics of the subject. It is based on the Bertillon method of criminal identification by measurements of the human body and is still in practice today to some extent. The Bertillon cards include space for description of the prisoners. Eye, ears, lips, beard, hair color, skin color, ethnicity, or head. Nose, chin, general contour of head, hair growth patterns, eyebrow, eyeballs and orbit, mouth, neck, inclination of shoulders, attitude, voice, language, habiliments. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you learned something. Goodbye.